Alright, welcome to this morning. So this morning we do year 9. Those who haven't been on it yet, seen this yet, I'm just going to take you through the initial starting things you need to understand before we get going. So on the screen, if you look at the bottom, it says year 8, but we need to change that now because we are year 9. And we're going to do some Python programming. So a few years ago, the government or education got rid of the subject ICT. My website's a play on that word, so because it's intense computing training, because that's basically what they made the new curriculum. They made it more in depth, a little bit more scientific. Very difficult subject, computer science, notoriously around the country. People are having problems accessing it because they've never seen it before. It really is like a hidden topic unless you've got specialist teachers teaching you. It's very difficult to learn it because you could go home and just Google it and read it from a book, but there's a lot more going on in the background which I think they didn't see like as a foresight. There's a lot more to using a computer than just using a computer. Anyway, here we are. This is where it's all come down to. They've started asking us all to teach you to program a little bit so that you understand how things work, and it's it's linked to problem solving. So if you look on my website, you've got on this video, sorry, you've got the lesson, and then underneath you've got my website. Now you need that because if you come here, which is on the screen, everything you need to know is if you drop down, you go to year 9, you hover over it, you click on your lesson. If you click on these, they go somewhere else, and I could put some extra things in there, like examples of work or whatever, but right now we want lesson 1 Python programming. And this is what you've got to do. You've already done most of this. Half the issues we have as teachers is you never really go home and have a look at what you've done in the day and just reaffirm you know it. Nobody ever does that. That's why these subjects are really difficult to keep picking up when you only have 1 hour a week. Right, for this you're going to need to install Python, but I'm going to show you some other ways of doing this. Those that are watching the video, brilliant, you get that. And those that aren't watching the video, then they're just going to come back in God knows how long and then just say, oh, well, we were off school. And I goes, yeah, but we were off school for a good reason, and it wasn't a DOS. We were supposed to be trying to keep this as normal as we can. So you're supposed to do that homeschooling. You're supposed to really try. Anyway, you will need to install Python. You can do so from here. So if you click here, you get this website. You can go to downloads and you can just click directly on that and just keep clicking OK. Just keep clicking next when the installer comes in. It might install into your downloads folder on the top of your browser, wherever that is, but that'll get you going. You've got to be able to do that. It's a basic computing requirement that you can install something. I'm sure if Fortnite was the game for a lot of you, you'd have no issues in doing that. Right. At school we use an IDE called Thonny. And Thonny isn't Python. This is what everybody says. Oh, I've not got Python on my computer. Yeah, you have got Python on your computer. What you meant was I haven't got Thonny on my computer. If you've downloaded it and installed it, just like I said, you've got it on there. And what Thonny does is it puts it into a nice little interface for you to use. You can get that here. Now then, I'm hoping most of the people watching these videos are on Windows machines, so you can just get the Windows version here, or if you're on a Mac, you get the Mac here. If you're on a Linux, then well played. Right. And that's it. That's everything you need. So what we're going to have now is our slides, which are here. Put these slides up here. Oops. Why is that copying that onto there? So we've got a slide, we've got a worksheet, and we've got a quiz, which is it. Right, so we're going to start now. Let's have a look at the time so I can timestamp it if it's gone on too long. It's taken me 6 minutes to get through all of that. Right, so this is going to be a pretty, I'm going to say this is going to be a pretty long lesson because there's a lot I've got to say and a lot I've got to do and a lot I've got to explain, because I can't imagine when you're trying to do it at all, I can't help you at all. And in the lessons, this is why the lessons are so like slow when we just get through one thing, because I spend 30 minutes walking around 28 of you just clicking on the button which I've asked you to click on. This is the bane of teaching, and now that I'm here to rant, I can just say that. You can just see how quick we're going to get through a lot of stuff here, and then you'll see, well, in the lesson we only did like the very first line of printing something to the screen, and you've got to step up a little bit when it comes to lessons like this, because this is what the whole subject's about. Right, so here we go. If I present the screen, we're going to have a look at our objectives. Remember, if you've got a piece of paper or you've got a book, you can get your 5 marks from it, or your 3 marks. I've shortened it to because we don't really care about dates and titles anymore, but you do care about your title, of course. Expected. So we're going to be able to print 5 different data types to the screen with a sentence which makes sense. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to just say 5 different data types. Now there's things there what we need to learn about. We don't know what, you might not know what a data type is. You won't know how to print to the screen just yet. I'm building everything from the beginning. When you've done that, instead of just printing it directly to the screen, let's get it so that we ask the user for their data. And then can you make it repeat forever so that it keeps doing it for different people? That's what we're going to do. So we're going to learn about data types, we're going to learn about printing output to the screen, we're going to learn about taking an input from a user, printing that to the screen, and then creating a little program which might be like, we could make it dead topical with what's going on in the world today. When we have got the resources to save everybody, we're going to have to create a system to log people and make sure that we've got everyone, and we know who's been treated and what they've been treated with. We could make a system what is like that. You could be the heroes we need right now. So we'll start right here. So yeah, wall of text. I'm really sorry, but unfortunately this takes a little bit of explanation. You just got to relax. I mean, we can't go anywhere. We might as well. Alright, so Python is a high-level programming language. That means it's written like understandable English. When you see Python code, if you just sit down and look at the words they're using and the way they write it, it should make some logical sense. So we call it a high-level language. It's easier for the human to understand. Python's made up of many keywords and structures which let you use and manipulate a computer system to build apps and games. That means when you're programming, you're taking control of the computer's memory, its architecture, and the way it does things, the way it computes its ones and zeros, for you to then make something which you can use yourself. That's why we call it software. It's a sequence of instructions what the computer follows to do something like this. Software I'm looking at here, this PowerPoint, it's following a sequence of instructions. When I click a button, it'll do something. It's a program to do that. Now in program we have a few keywords which we need to remember all the time, and these keywords are nothing to do with Python like what we're typing in, but it's programming keywords, and that's sequence, iteration, and selection. Now you just have to know they exist, because every single program will include at least one, if not all of them, and without it programs can't work. Sequence is to follow instructions. It's like your algorithms, your functions, the things like that you've done. If you've done that. Iteration means to loop things so over and over and over. If you think about it, any game you play is running on a loop. Go until you've got no wealth and then start again, and then when you press the button, start again and keep going. And selection is when something happens, how do we manipulate the data? How do we get hold of data and do something with it? And then when you're writing your code out, we call it the code's syntax. Python has a syntax, and if you get that even slightly wrong, the whole program crashes, doesn't run, and everyone starts complaining like, mine's exactly the same as yours. But it won't be. There'll be something very, very simple you've not done, because the computer only follows very specific rules, sequences of instructions, and if it's slightly off, you don't get it. It's like speaking in German. If I said to everybody who's listening right now, kann ich habe ein Händchen und ich gehe ins Kino, you'd all sit there going, just looking at me like there's something wrong. If I just came out with that while I was talking, you'd know that, oh, something's wrong. Your brain stops. The computer does exactly the same thing when you write something in it. It's not part of its syntax, right? So this is what we have to do. This is how we're going to finish our lesson. If you want nothing else, you can go right now and have a go all by yourself. Use your own research. Away you go. If not, you're sitting with me for another 20-30 minutes while I explain. Now we're going to create a small program which will ask a user for 5 bits of information and print them to the screen. The information will represent all of Python's data types, Mr. Ness, or it's cut it out and put it underneath this block. Right. So what I'm asking you to do is I want you to use the worksheet for guidance. So if you're really stuck and you don't know where to go next, just use the guide worksheet for a little bit of like structure in what you're doing. Create a program which answers the title, and then you're going to answer the quiz, which is on my website. If you're really stuck, this is our lowest form of learning right here. You can copy that out and print it out. It should look like that when it's done, when you've opened Pony, but I've not started any of this yet by good reason, because they're doing it all together. Right, and that's it. That's everything we're doing. And that's our review. So here are our keywords. We'll talk about these as we go along, but let's get started. So let's just minimize this and let's have a look at Thonny. So I'll open it 2 ways you can do it. If you go into your search bar and you type in Python and then IDLE, you should get this, Python idle, and then you click on it and it should open like that if you've installed the newest version from the website. In fact, mine's an older version. It's 3.8 now. I need to update this. So then when you've done that, this is what we call your shell. If I type something in and press enter, nothing seems to work unless you do something, which is part of Python. So the simplest thing we can do in Python is use a keyword print. You can see it goes purple. You open some brackets and close the brackets straight away. You put in 2 speech marks, and inside the speech marks we put hello, we press enter, and it prints that. That's computed. That's your first program. That's not what we want to be using though. Just showing you all that for no reason, because what you want to be doing is going to file and new file, and you get another window like this. And if we line them up, it's exactly the same thing. So I'm just going to make my writing a little bit bigger because it's hard work for you to see. I wonder if there's a clear, restart show. I want to get rid of that. I'm going to have to scroll a bit. Right, so now I've opened a new file. I can do exactly the same thing. I didn't realise changing my font would put everything out of whack, but it has done, and there's nothing we can do about it now. Right, so if I do the exact same thing in here, print, it still goes purple like it does. I put in my 2 speech marks and I type hello. And then what you got to do this time is run it. So there's 2 ways of doing it. You can go run module, or you can press the shortcut key, which is F5. I press F5. You press F5, it's going to ask you to save it. I'm going to click OK. And for this lesson, I'm going to save it onto the desktop. I'm going to call it Year 9, Lesson 1. I'm just saving my code to the desktop because I just want to be able to find it quickly if I have to later. Save, and then look, it does exactly the same thing. It puts it out to the screen. This is like your game screen, so to speak, like your monitor. This is the code. So if I go print and then put your name, there you go. if I now run that. If you just press F5, it says it needs to save it, it does it, and then it prints out both them things. So we're ready to go now. That's just getting yourself set up with Python if you've installed Python. So we're going to do the exact same thing again, but this time I'm going to use Thonny because I think Thonny is just cleaner. If you go into your search and you start typing in, if you've installed it like I said before, you should have this, Thonny. I'm not sure if it's going to say something like link to your folder of Python. And this is what you get. You get something what looks exactly the same as before. You might have another bar up here. I turned mine off, called the assistant. But it's just nice if it's your shell, which we had, but we had to mess about with all the sizes of the windows and everything. And you've got your code. So if you go print and then hello like that, and then you run it, it's going to ask you to save it again because we're in a new program. I'm just going to save over it as that, save over the code, yeah, and look what you get. It all comes up dead nice. Now I've really raced over that, and it's taken me 7 minutes to do so because it's important that you install the software and then you can get it running like this. Without being able to do that, it's not going to work. But if you are that person that just cannot simply do it, if you go to your Google search engine from your browser and you type in learn Python, I think it's .org. learnpython.org. You can do this. Now it's very basic, but it'll get the job done. If you go to learn the basics, hello world, what it'll give you is this, like loads of screens. What you can, this'll, if you use this site indefinitely, you'll learn to program. I would use this if you've got nothing else to do, but we're going to use it for this. And if I'll zoom in a bit, I can delete everything out of here and use the website as my own Python compiler. So if I go print and then hello, notice say the colours are different on this though, and I run, and it'll print it out here for me. And that's no installation of any program needed now. Everybody can have a go. Nobody can there you go. You might have to refresh your I'm not sure you refresh actually because it says what's going on. I suppose you could just refresh the page. Yeah, refresh the page and away you go. You could do that bare minimum. So that's my intro to my lesson. So the real lesson actually now starts at 19 minutes exactly. So we've got to look at a title. Here we go. Create a small program which has to use 5 bits of information and print them to the screen. Right. These information will represent all of Python's data types. So let's change that while we're here. Right. So we've got to talk about data types. In Python, there's like different containers of information. When you look at a computer screen like this, everything on here will be held in memory. It is a different type because the computer needs to know how to deal with it. So if I go back to my Thonny, I'm going to use Thonny by the way because I think it's just really good, this program. It's so nice just to look at. It saves the last thing you opened. So if I now told you there were 5 data types, so if I put a hashtag, you can write things, it's like a comment. There are 5 data types in Python. One of them is the string. Another one is the integer. Another one is called a float or a real. We can call them reals. Another one is a boolean. Now I'm going to do one which is not in Python, but it is in every other programming language, and it's the char or the character. So we are going to program or I'm going to explain how all of them work, and we're going to make our own little program out of it. So we'll start with a string. A string is any amount of characters between speech marks. So we've already done an example of this. If I go print and I go hello everyone, we have in fact created a string data type there. That bit from the H to the E, not including the speech marks, that is what we call a string. It's any amount of characters between speech marks. We call an array of characters, because an array is just a collection of the same thing, and it's just a collection of singular letters, making it what we collectively know as a string. It's really important that you just understand anything written in between speech marks. You can get it wrong, you can still get it wrong, but it's a string. You just can't get these keywords wrong. Right, integers. These ones, trivial. We do maths. An integer is any whole number. Now, if I want to print a whole number to the screen, look what I do. Look how different that is from the one above it. I have not put it in speech marks. If you put it in speech marks, 36 now becomes a string. It's important this, because a lot of times you're going to have to convert from number to string, string to number, things like that. But that is now a string. Right now it's an actual number. And with numbers you can do things like times in, minus, plus in, dividing, because I can't divide word by words. I can't. So you can't. You've got to make sure when you want a number, you actually use a number. A float array is any number with a decimal point. And then this is print, and then same thing again, 57.6, and then that's what a float is. It's any decimal number. Now I hope we're following so far. So strings, just characters in between speech marks. Integers is any whole number. Floats and reals, anything with a decimal point on it. Now the booleans is where we get a little bit complicated, because a lot of, well, it's not complicated, it's just people don't use them as much as they should, because the whole computer runs on a boolean architecture. It's just ones and zeros being computed billions of times a second. It's just as a 1 and a 0, and it's thrown through a lot of gates which change it, and then you see what you're seeing on the screen. It's almost like magic. Right, boolean. It can only be one or two values, or two values. I'm going to put, to make it simple. It can only be two values. So this could mean it's either true or false. It can be yes or no. No maybe. Just note to say there's no maybe. So it's just one or two values, 0 or 1. It's any data type. It can be anything. This, you can even use a string, you can use a number, but it's got to be one of two values. Now in programming we have some specific values to be a boolean, so I'm just going to go print, and then the two values we've got is true, not in speech marks, true, no, so it's gone purple because it's a reserved keyword, and I'm just going to print underneath it false. Oh sorry, I've got my keyboard set up to a different way of writing because I was programming before. Right, so print true and print false. It can't be anything else. It's either that or it's that, but in a program it would be either one of them. You wouldn't print it out like this. And then finally a character. Now we don't have this in Python properly because you just use a string, but it's just one singular character, and then this would just be quite simply, when I'm using a character I put it in the singular quotation marks. And then if we run this program now, so F5, what you should get is all of that works. Hello everyone, 36, 57, true, false and C. I'm going to get rid of this false. So if I just move this out of the way a little bit so you can see the whole program at once. That's the starting point. We know about the data types now. We know about them. We've got a string, integer, float, or real, depending on what you want to call it. Well, it's actually called a floating point number, but we just call them floats. We've got Boolean, and we've got char or characters. Them are the 5 data types. So we've got to do something with it now. We've actually got to do some actual programming. So what I normally do is I'll save this, file save as. I'll call it data types, and I'll just save that to my lesson as well. And then I'll go file and new, and I'll shut that down because I don't want it anymore. But I've still got it, and I've still got that reference, and that's what you should do in your programming. Every time you do something, save it as a different file, and then make a new one, and then keep your learning going, so that if you do go, oh, what are the data types again, you can actually reopen it, because we don't want to keep running all that mess every time we run our program. Right, so what else have we got to do? So we've done that. We're going to create a small program now, which will actually use it for 5 bits of information and print them to the screen. The information will represent all of Python's data types. Right, easy enough. So we could, in fact, just print out everything like that. So we could go print, and then we could go Mr. Holding. We could print out my favourite number. We could print out my so that's a string, that's an integer. We could print out something which is a decimal point, which is like money. Which money have I got on me right now? Oh god, this is looking grim. 23 pence. So we've done string, integer, float, a boolean. Well, I'm not put it into context, but I'm just going to write one, and then the last one is a child. I'm going to put my my fish's first name there from a fish. Now if I print that out, it's going to ask me to save it again. I'm going to call it program 5 data types. 5 data types prog, and then it's printed it all out at the bottom. So easy enough, right? That's pretty easy. But what if we don't want to print those numbers out every single time? What if we want to ask the user to enter their name, enter the number, enter, you know, make it like a real quiz? So we do this. Get rid of all that. We have to set what we call a variable to save that data. So each piece of data needs to be saved to the computer, and we save them in what we call variables. And you can call your variables whatever you want. So I want to set my name. So I'm going to call my variable my name. Then I'm going to put the equals sign, because that's the setting sign or the assignment sign. And then I'm going to use the word input. And I'm going to put speech marks, and I'm going to put the question, enter your name. Just put a space at the end of it. You'll see why in a second. So I have set a variable called my name, and it's going to be assigned to whatever this person types in. So when I run it, it says enter your name, and look, it's waiting here, because it's waiting for me to write something in, and it's going to save it to that. Whatever I write is going to be saved to this variable. So I'm going to write IHO, and then nothing happens. Look, I typed in IHO, press enter, and nothing's happened, because that's the only line in our code. So let's print out what we just typed in. So let's print out my name. So notice how I'm printing out the variable and not my name anymore. If you remember before, I put it in speech marks, my actual name, but this time I'm not. This is how computers work. Information is saved to variables all around the system, and then stored in memory and then recalled later. That's what's happening right now. We are saving whatever you type into this to print out now. So when I press F5, enter your name, there's no way in a million years could I remember to type that in, or remember to type that out every single time if I had to. But if I press enter, look, it's printed it all out exactly as I did it. So that's programming 101, setting variables and then getting the user to type in the data they want rather than what we call hard coding it. So let's carry on. We had my name, and then I wanted to put my favourite number, my fav number. And I'm going to go equals, but this time I want it to be an actual number. I want to type in an actual number. I could do this again. I could do this. and that'd be fine. But I just want to show you why we shouldn't do that, because my favourite number is a whole number, an integer. So if I run it, everything's going to work. There's my name, enter my number 45, everything's fine. It's printing out my name, and if I put a comma here, I can put my number here. Or I just copy this so that I don't make a mistake typing it out. And then if I run it, sorry, it works. FG and 56 is printed back out. That looks fine. But if I now wanted to times my favourite number, or plus 50 onto my favourite number like this, just watch what happens. I run it, enter your name, fine, and then I enter favourite number 56. It does all this because you can't add the integer, because look, it's gone orange, 50 to the number. You can't do that. I might want to do something like enter in your age and then take 5 years off it to give you like I don't know, or have a maximum age and then take it on. Well, I can't think of an example using my age at the minute where I could use, because I don't want to say date of birth, because you'd have to do something with the beginning of time, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm just not going to bother using that example. Just know you can't add numbers to letters because you are setting it as a string when you use that input. So how do we get around that? What we've got to do is we've got to put int at the front of everything, open a bracket, then type of input, do the same brackets for the input as you did, but then remember to end your bracket. Now you have to type in a number now or it's going to break. Watch. So I do that. I know I'm going to type in that, just another letter, and it'll break again because it says here, look, you've put an invalid literal in for int because it needs to be a number, and you haven't put the literal means words, doesn't it? So you've gone and put in words here when you should have put in a number. Now I've been really slow and laborious with that because it's really important that you understand that you can get in text data and you can get in input data. Similarly, you can get in float data. So current money equals float, open a thing, input, open a thing, bracket, enter current cash, speech marks. Now the way I did that then was one bit at a time. I'm going to show you should be doing this when we start, when we do the next one. So now I can get my current money. So there you go, put a comma here, paste that here, and then the next one is our boolean. Now a boolean is yes or no, so the question's got to be, you've got to make a data type which makes sense to what you're asking. So do you like cheese? Everybody says cheese when you say this. So do you like cheese? So I'm going to put make a variable called cheese, simple as that, equals, and then bool. Now I explained what I was going to do. So you write the data type bool, and then I open and close my brackets, and I go back in and I write input, and then I open and close my brackets, and then I go in that, I put my two speech marks, and then I write my question. If you do it that way, you won't miss these out, because the bane of our lives when we're teaching is people just missing one of these, not spelling that right. A lot of people put input like that. I see that a lot, and I don't know. Bool input, and then there's do you like cheese? Now I'm not sure what you've got to type in when you specify your data type here, so that'll be interesting for me, because as I keep telling all my classes, I don't really program in Python. I just use it for schools because it's a training language. It's really simple for kids to pick up. But Python does some really odd stuff which in most programming languages it won't let you do. And then character, I'm going to say middle initial equals, and then it's input again, because we don't really have, I don't know if there's a char. No, there isn't. I don't think there's a character data type in thingy. So we're going to do the next best thing to specify something as got to be letters, so you can't type in numbers, because if you remember up here, I I can type numbers in as well, but it'll convert it to a string. This one, you can't type anything in but strings. And that is your program. That's our program we are going to release onto the world. So I'm going to put my variables in here. And there you go. Let's see if it runs. So if I press F5, this is a good thing about Thonny as well. You can clear your this screen, and it's not like a mess like it was in Python. So if you enter your name, so I'm just going to do this properly, IHL, enter your favourite number, 45, enter your current cache, 0.23, do you like cheese? Now, I'm not sure what we're going to type in here, so I'm going to type no in and see what happens. Enter your middle initial. So, it's going to put true for that. So I think you can only enter true or false. Do you like cheese? And then you could put true, false. So we'll run it again. Let's see. Because I knew it were going to do that. But we typed in no, which would be false, wouldn't it? So enter name. So enter your favourite number. Enter your cache. 0.67. If you don't write an actual float, it'll cut the number off. Do you like cheese? False. And what's your middle initial? Right. I think you might have to write in I'm not sure how Python works with setting data types. I'll be straight with you. I never usually use this anyway, because normally I just use import. Normally I just do this, and then I know in my program it can only be 1 or 2 values. So for now I'm just going to keep it at that, because I'm going to have to do a bit of research into how Python deals with you accepting bools. But I'll go as far as to say, in your programming at this level, you'll never really use bools. But there you go. Right. So we've got this program. So let's have a look at our objectives. Create a small program which will let the user for 5 bits of information and print them to the screen. Yeah, we've done it. The information will represent all the Python's data type. Done it. That's it, guys. I think we are done. So let's have a look at our review. Can we print 5 data types? Yep. Can you ask the user to enter the data? Yep. Can you do all of the above and make it repeat forever? Right. Here's your killer part for everybody who's learning. So let's just say we are building a machine to help with this fight against a virus, to record everybody. This is why programmers and doctors and all of those professions, they're sorely needed now, because we need to be able to use a computer to its advantage to help such a problem like this. We are dealing with millions of people. We are dealing with very confidential and sensitive information which has to be inputted correctly. Now in our program we've done a lot of measures here to make sure that it will be inputted correctly. This has to be actual letters, this has to be an actual number, this has to be or it'll turn it into a floating point number. So if I put 56, it'll change it into a 0.0. This needs to be well, this one's the only what I'm going to call problem at the minute, and this one will have to be absolute letters, because imagine if you were to start administering medicine from a machine and you had to input numbers, and we couldn't do things like this. This is what's going to come next week. So when we enter in our favourite number, enter in fact we're just going to change it, enter in medicine amount less than 100. I'm just going off topic a bit here, because this is why you do this. If, and then this fav number, is greater than 100, so it's bigger than 1, we're going to print. You can't do this. No, this will kill them. Else, print you have administered. Sorry, I put a comma there, I shouldn't have done. Right, just those that are following, what I've wrote is a sniff statement. This is next lesson, to be honest. We're going to make a full program using this, but I just want to show you how important it is that we get numbers here, because if we don't, we'll never be able to write a program what can do this. Because how does it know how to compare things if you don't have a specific data type? So let's run our program now. So we've got an invalid syntax. So where is that? It's cheese. Oh, can you see I didn't get rid of my bracket because I got rid of the bool and it's told me there's a problem. So enter your name there. I know it's enter your medical amount less than 100. Now if I type in 150, right, it'll print out no, this will kill them. And then enter your current cache, which is 0.7. Do you like cheese? I'm going to put no. Enter your middle initial, Y. And then prints everything out we typed in. Now if we're really good, we'll have this keep repeating until you get something less than 100. But that was in our lesson objective. How do I make this program go forever? Well, we have to use what we call a loop. It's called a while loop. So at the very top of your program now, just watch and listen. Rewind the video back and listen to this again, because everybody does this wrong. Well, not everybody. So you type the word while in, look, it goes purple. It's a reserved keyword in Python. And then I'm going to use this Boolean operator, what we had before, with a colon at the end of it. This is saying, while everything below it isn't breaking, keep doing it. But what you've got to do when you, if you noticed here, when you've got these deep purple words, everything has to be indented after it. Or the next line has to be indented. And if I was to write another line, Python will help you out and drop down to the line you need to be on. This is why Python's a really good language. Not many other programming languages do this for you. I've got to indent everything, so I highlight the lot and I press the tab button. If you don't want to do that, you can highlight the lot and go to, I believe it's in edit, and then I think there's something in here where you can use no, there isn't. So you could just go on to all of it and then press space. You know, I think that will do it, but you have to do it to everything if you do it that way, and that's ridiculous. So you can hit tab on every one of them. But remember, if that one's indented, so does that one, so does that one. A lot of people have that and then tell me, well, it's not working, mine's exactly the same as yours. No, it ain't. But can you see how slow that is? It's really slow. So what I want to get you into the habit of doing is highlighting the whole lot. Highlighting the whole lot. And then clicking tab once. And then it'll do it all. And then when you run it now, it'll do this. Enter your name. I'll put 50 in this time. You have a minute is 50 of medicine. You could put whatever the medicine is. Enter your cache. I'm going to put 45. Do you like cheese? No. You can type anything into that at the minute. Enter your initial data. And look, it'll do it again. Enter name. And I've entered in the wrong data there and broke it because it was looking for a number. But I entered in letters instead and it broke. That would be great for a medical machine. It's not going to carry on now. Well, you'd actually make it loop, but there you go. So this is what I've been trying to teach you over the last 3 hours of lessons, and we've done it in less than 25 minutes. This is looking good. But that's the bare minimum I need you to be at. I need you to be at setting variables of different types, and if you really want, you can add this if in if you really want, but we don't need that today. And then print it all out to the screen. But one of the things I asked it to do was to make a sentence out of it all. So this is what we do. So I'm going to put speech marks here, and I'm going to put hello, and then I'm going to put a comma after the speech mark because I'm going to print hello, my name, and then we've got a comma, and then it goes your favorite number is, put a comma after the speech marks, then come after this comma, then we've got a comma, and then it goes you have, comma, current money, and then in your pocket. And we're going to put comma. Now after a comma, if you press enter, you can drop down onto the next line, but the enter has to come after a comma, otherwise you break the code and it doesn't work. In your pocket, full stop. Next one, and then we're going to write the question in, do you like cheese? Oh right, no, we could do it this way, so we are going to have it the other way around. That's what I was leaving it for. So yeah, you go straight to cheese, and then I'm going to put you said, so comma after that. Was your answer to liking cheese? Now there's a little trick we can do here. I think you can go dot title after it, and it'll put the capital letter at the front of it. That's something for you advanced kids if you're really getting into this Python and you're finding this too slow to follow. I think that works in Python, but we'll see when we run it, because that's the whole point with programming. You just play, you just have a. So it should be a bit of fun. Was your answer to liking cheese? Full stop, and then after that comma, your middle initial is comma, and I think that's our program fully finished. So now it's going to look pretty good when we run it in. So enter your name. I'll do proper names now so that it looks right. Enter your, oh, we've still got that enter medical amount, and it's your favourite number, so just ignore that, but we should have changed that back to your favourite number. So I'm going to put 50. Enter your current cash, 0.23. Do you like cheese? No. Oh, I should have put that in small letters to see if that works. Let me rerun this. Yeah, I want to do it properly. So, oh, let's change this as well. No, get it right. We might as well get it right. We've got loads of time. Enter favorite number. You see, this is asking the user a question, like, so enter your name. So RHO. Enter your favorite number, 56. Enter your current cash, 0.23. Do you like cheese? Right, I'm going to put no, small n. Let's see if it works. Enter your middle initial. Hello RHO. Your favourite number is 56 and you have 23. We could add a pence in your pocket after plus p. Now this is different to adding. It's going to concatenate, but I just know this stuff. That just adds that letter to the direct end of that, if that works in Python. We'll check it out in a second. No was your answer to liking cheese, and look, it's put a capital L on it because cheese dot, that dot title after any kind of string capitalizes the first word. Your middle initial is and then it repeats because of the while loop. So let's stop that and run it again with our addition. Let's see if that works. RHO, favorite number is 45, your current cash is 2. Do you like cheese? Yes. Enter your middle initial, Y. Right, so you're not allowed to add a letter to the end of a string number. I thought you could do that in Python, but it don't look like you can, because I could put P there, but there's going to be a space after it, and normally when you're doing pound signs and pence, it's directly after the number. That's the way the syntax is in regular writing. But we're gonna just leave it there, I think, because it gets really messy next lesson, because we're going to be doing all kinds of things with loops, if statements, making things change, setting things, and playing a game which will have lives and things. So if you've followed this step by step, you've at least done the bare minimum I need you to have when you're learning to program. I've seen a lot of videos online, and mine's only just hitting 50 minutes now, and some of them are going on for hours and hours and hours and hours, and they just build trivial stuff. We've actually built a usable program here. This will let you take in every single person you enter, keep repeating it, and if in a couple of lessons I'm going to show you how to save all this to an external document and then read it back in, and then it'll save everybody you ever type for the rest of time this program's running. And that's something you can use. That's, that'll be really good for us all to learn as well. So let's just recap on what you should be doing now. If I go to my this, if you open my slides, I always put a killer question on the very last slide. So how can you make your program show that? And we've just done that. Make sure it uses data rather than mine, so you just enter your data as we've been doing it. Can you add a pound sign to the cache? This is why I asked it. I remember when I wrote this lesson yesterday, I thought, I don't know if Python does that. So maybe somebody could have a go at telling me and send me your work through the show my own work. Can you improve the grammar and punctuation of that? Because if you notice, I've not put full stops, I've not put some capitals, but I've shown you little things in this video on how to do it, and that's what the point of the video is. Right, so that's that. The next thing is our worksheet. Now, I'll fill in a couple of them just so that you know what you've got to do. So you can get all of this worksheet. I've kept it as simple as possible. Look, it's just like that. Write the code to print your name to the screen. If you've all done the lesson, you'll write your name in there. So, D-mash. Something like that. Set your name to a variable called my name. You've got to call it exactly that. Print that to the screen. What would that look like? Create a variable that will store an integer, float, string, boolean. Now that one, I'm just gonna highlight it now, and I'm just gonna say I need to understand how Python sets data types, because every time I type something in, it always said it was true when I wanted it to flag false. I think it's true, and thinking about it, I think if there's information in it, it becomes true, and if there's not, then it's false. I think that might be what it is. That's what it is in C++ usually. When I'm programming in that, I'm checking if there's something actually stored there. Anyway, print all the variables. So if you can do all them, and if you want to upload that to me, that's great. If you know my email, that's great. But then I'd like you to answer the quiz. It's all on the website. Just go through this, have a look at it. It's basically the lesson, but in question format, to see if you've really listened. If you're watching this video, then you've obviously got some kind of browser software, so you can go to this from the website, which is at the bottom of my page. Go to Year 9, go to Lesson 1, and there you go. Or if you're really into it, you can copy that massive link out. But anyway, it's nearly encroaching an hour now. That's the hour I would like to have taught in the lessons, because we've covered 3 lessons there. And if you can do it, I'm pretty impressed. So if you want to do a little bit more advanced programming, I start my Year 10 lessons tomorrow. Now they're going to be quite long. I might even do 3 of them, 3 hours worth, because they get 3 hours a week. And there's a real chance to use this as an advantage, to actually sit down and have a look at this with no distractions. You've got nothing better to do anyway. We're now under curfew, sort of. Just make sure you're going out and getting your exercise, and make sure you are looking after the people in your house if they need help. Take things round to people like older relatives. Go and help them out. because we have to just endure this now. And I hope these videos are just, at least breaking up 1 hour of your day, because there's only so much Apex and games we can play before it just becomes super boring. I know it's only day 3 into a school lockdown, but I can imagine everybody's like starting doing things too quick and ruining things, because remember, you do get a 6 week every year. What do you do during that, apart from the holidays you might go on? Anyway, that's it from me. If you need any more stuff, if you know who I am, you can send me a message through the satchel, and I'll do another video for you, like specifically to explain the problem. I could even just come on and do a video like I normally do, because I'm trying to teach it like a lesson here to show you everything step by step. But feel free to hit me up on the messages. Anyway, thanks a lot.